Welcome back to Sportsnet Lakers. I'm your host, Chris McGee, joined by our Laker insider, Michael Bresnahan, and the Lakers reporter, Mike Trudell. Fellas, 82 games down. Lakers finished 43-39 and in the 7th spot in the standings. Not a place you hope to end up when you start a season as a Laker fan, but considering the 2-10 start, all the injuries, all the games they gave away, the Kleba foul that I've been talking about for 3 weeks.
You're going to
I'll take
go
it.
to Kleba foul?
Yes, I'll take it is what I'm saying.
41 seconds.
But make no mistake about it. I'm going to give it to you guys, but make no mistake about it. I want a series. The play is not good enough for me. That being said, really happy we're here.
Yeah.
Really happy we're here in the 7-8 game. Hosting.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. Look, at the alternatives back in November did not look so good, Mike, when you're sitting at 2-10.
Yep.
And everyone's pretty healthy at that point. But I give a lot of credit to the front office for really changing the trajectory of this team at the trade deadline 2 months ago, almost to the day. Really gave this team new life, Mike.
Yeah, I think that everybody, including the Lakers front office, I think they knew going into the season that the roster was going to need a major tweak, I guess to put it lightly. And I just think that the cost of what that was going to do and what it was going to take to actually rebuild the roster was too high to do before the season. But look at what they did. Yeah. And we don't have to go through it. Everybody, of course, watching knows what the trade ends up being. And look at where the team was when they lost that game to Milwaukee. I believe it was February 10th, or maybe it was the 9th. Yeah, it was the 9th. Yeah, because LeBron in the OKC game was past Kareem, all that. What were they, 25-31, something like that? I think it was 6 games under
Not
500. Something along those lines. And since then, like, look where they are now.
Yeah.
And sure, like, ideally, they would have gotten as far up to the 6. The Kings didn't help that out by sitting guys, and now they're going to get the Warriors in round 1. We'll see what happens. But the Lakers are going into this play-in game as, of course, the home team, the 7th seed. And Minnesota is banged up and have some self-inflicted wounds. And, Geeter, if I would have just given you this scenario, right, on whatever it was, February 10th, you would have said what? Like,
I'll take it.
It's like 13 seed to the 7.
And that's the last
chance
time
to get in?
I'm mentioning the games they tricked away in the Kleba game. I'm not talking about it ever again. We're moving on. We're in the 7th seed.
Only
the Lakers' opponent, the Lakers' opponent, Minnesota, they had a crazy Easter Sunday to close out their regular season. I don't even know if they got to watch Succession, but I'll tell you what happened to them. First half, center Rudy Gobert threw a punch at slow-mo at teammate Kyle Anderson. He was sent home during the game. Gobert did not travel with the team and will miss the matchup Tuesday with the Lakers. I'm not going to get into what started it all. You can read all that on Twitter, but it's pretty good there. And then wait, it gets even weirder. At the end of the first quarter, Jaden McDaniels was unhappy with picking up a foul on his way to the locker room. He hit the wall in anger, fracturing his right hand in many places.
What are you doing?
He is out indefinitely and will also miss the playing game. At practice, Darvin and Anthony Davis talked about the matchup. Stuff.
I just think their confidence, knowing that you can go out and win a game. I mean, we just have to go out and win a game. We can't think about, okay, if we lose, we still got another chance. If we do this, we do that. No. We have to take care of the business that's in front of us. Today it was going over the scout, putting in the game plan. And tomorrow it'll be to come out and be highly competitive, the most competitive together team in the building. And that's pretty much it. But those guys haven't gone through that experience last year, and the calm way they've gone about their business. I just think, they had success in their playing game. So, and along with all the years that Bron, AD combined have in playoff experience, and the coaching staff and other guys, like, we're good, man. We're in a good place. The only time you should be nervous is when you're not prepared. We're very much prepared.
Yeah, those are top 2 defensive guys. Obviously it takes a hit, from them defensively. But I think I'm assuming Cat will start at the 5. They're probably a little bit better offensively, just as far as spacing. So it's a different, challenge for us. We haven't seen that this year, but we're preparing for it. Unfortunate situation for them, obviously, but it's our job to go out there and no matter who's on the floor, go out there and get a victory.
Before we get to the matchup, let's break down what happened to the T-Wolves and how this impacts their team potentially. Gobert, who has had a lot of success against the Lakers, and Jaden McDaniels, who in my eyes, guys, is one of the best perimeter defenders, and he's a huge X factor for this team. Not good for the T-Wolves.
I have never seen anything like that. I mean, in the media room yesterday at the game at halftime, we're all looking at highlights. You know, one of the LA Times guys came running over. He's like, look at this. And he showed us this exact clip. We're like, what is going on there? Okay, true, you and I have seen a lot at Laker games. We saw Kobe get clotheslined by Raja Bell. We saw our friend of the show, Meta, throw a bunch of elbows to James Harden one year.
Rondo, Chris Paul.
We have seen a lot. But what's the common theme here? It's always guys from opposite teams.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
I mean, you can have an argument like Dwight and AD or something like that, but you know, when you throw, and again, it wasn't
Game
in his
82,
head.
you keep your hands to yourself.
It's just a situation of a game that's do or die.
Yeah.
And it's just really tough to see that. And I think this goes. We won't spend a ton of time, I don't think, on the Timberwolves here. But as somebody who grew up in Minnesota, you know, that was just a terrible trade. It just was. The Gobert trade in the first place, and this doesn't help that moving forward or right now.
He makes a lot of money.
Throw that all out for now. Like, what does this do for the matchup tomorrow? I guess is sort of the point. And Gobert, he couldn't get on that plane. They had to suspend him, and of course they did. And AD just alluded to it, Geeter. And you know that it really inhibits their ability to protect the rim. And this is a Laker team that has Anthony Davis and LeBron James. The thing that they both do best still, even with all the other skills, is get downhill, get into the paint, make things happen in there. And this might help the Wolves a little bit on offense, actually, by having Gobert out, but it definitely hurts the defense.
I was going to ask you because really we're showing the McDaniels foul, and he's going to punch the wall.
Yeah.
That really hurts their team as well. I mean, Gobert was backpedaling after that punch to slow-mo, like 30 guys were coming after him. It was a really weird scene, and I love that Kyle Anderson went after him.
Prince
actually, because I love him.
Yeah.
But sometimes we see this, and we saw it in the second half. Guys go out, crazy circumstances, makes no sense. The team rallies. How were they able to win that game?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a rally around the flag effect, and they still have some studs, Anthony Edwards being the biggest one. And, I mean, just like he had an Anthony Davis-type defensive game in terms of stocks. He's blocking shots. He's getting steals. But to kind of translate back to the Lakers here, Geeter, you know, he can't do that to the same degree against LeBron and AD because they're two of the few guys that are just going to outsize him in that context. And who was supposed to guard LeBron James? Jaden McDaniels. You know, and who's supposed to guard Anthony Davis, at least for part of the time? Gobert. AD has kicked his butt before, but Gobert has had some success, as you mentioned. So it's just like it's a worst-case scenario for this one game, but the Lakers, of course, can't relax, which is what LeBron said.
Brez, give us your thoughts just on the matchup. It's a one-game deal.
Yeah, I think if you stop Anthony Edwards, you win this game. And you know what? The Lakers did a great job a week and a half ago when they just played this team in Minnesota. They stopped him. You know, Edwards was 4 for 16 that night. And he's an all-star. I mean, you got to give the Lakers a lot of credit. That was their game plan. Stop him. You know, he's the head of the snake in the eyes of the Lakers game planners that night. And they absolutely carried it out to perfection. He did not shoot well. He did not look comfortable. And the Lakers indeed beat Minnesota. They scored 68 points in that second half, too, against Timberwolves. AD 38 points that night. So a lot of AD, not a lot of Anthony Edwards. And I think that's when we'll see the Lakers really start to get away from this team, if they can do those two little things.
Just to add a couple things. So Edwards was sick that game. I think he threw up at halftime. They had this they had a stomach virus going on throughout the team. So that's one thing. The other thing, though, is that Jared Vanderbilt, who I think is best when defending perimeter players, not bigs, he can do a really good job against Edwards. Uses length. He knows how to, of course, used to play with him. And I think that's going to be something that will limit him at least to a degree. And then Rui Hachimura, you decided to jump right there, did a ridiculously good job on Karl Anthony Towns in the second half. Because Cat, even though he's a big, he loves to be out on the perimeter. They love to space the floor. He's going to shoot a bunch of threes and open up the paint for guys like Edwards to get downhill and try to get to the rim. And Rui can move his feet out there, and he's strong enough, if Cat does put the ball on the floor to try to get to the rim, he's strong enough to wall him off. So the Lakers have really good personnel for Minnesota, especially given the guys that are out. Now, will they get it done? We'll see. But, Geeter, they have to feel good about their chances going in just based on how the matchup looks.
All right, and here is a tale of the tape, how these teams match up at the weigh-in. Points, T-Wolves 13th, Lakers 6th. Wolves 14th in three-pointers made. Lakers 24th defensive rating. T-Wolves 10th, Lakers 12th. Here's LeBron James reflecting on the team's road to the play-in tournament.
I mean, we put ourselves in a position where we can move on, and that's all we asked for, to put ourselves in a position to be able to move on. You know, we had a very, very slow start, like you said, starting 2-10, and then you know, we had games that we could have won. We had games that we should have won. We had some, you know, things that didn't go our way. So to know where we are today, you know, you can be happy about that, but not satisfied. So, my coach always said it's time to fill our cups back up. We got the rest of the day, we got the rest of tomorrow to, get off our feet. But it's all going to be in the mind, and then get ready to go out and battle on Tuesday.
Brez, I want to start with you. LeBron ramping up for the playoffs, right? You look at his last 4 games, he's averaging 30, shooting 55% from 3 over his last 3. He's in year 20. But as he said, he kind of fell in love with this team while he was away from the team. But he looks ready.
Yeah, he was still pretty active on social media, even when he was out for all those weeks. And I give him a lot of credit. He could have just been, sobbing in his soup, crying in his oatmeal, whatever. Instead, he stayed engaged. And he was tweeting about how much he likes D'Angelo, how much he likes Austin Reeves, and it was pretty continual. I mean, it wasn't just there every other week or whatnot. He was definitely cheerleading, A, in the locker room, and B, on his many social media accounts. True, by the way, if you combine LeBron's Insta and Twitter, he reaches about a third of the U.S. He's got over 110 million people. It's a lot of followers right there.
A lot of followers, a lot more than I have. Trudell, since his return, what have you kind of noticed in the last few games, like the difference?
Yeah, I think that LeBron, and this reminds me a little bit of watching Kobe later in his career, he's using these regular season games to ramp himself up. And I think that his shots have gone up in part so that he can try to find that rhythm. And we know that he wasn't shooting well right when he got back, and that's not something that's too surprising. But he's found the 3, I think, recently. He always knows that he can still get downhill and get to the rim, but he's not going to do that as often as he used to, just because of the wear and tear that it takes and how much explosion that he's going to have in his legs. It's going to be a little bit different in year 20 than it was in year 10, say. So I think that even at the expense sometimes of running what would be the most efficient or most effective offense, which a lot of times right now, guys, is just giving Anthony Davis the ball a little more. I think LeBron used these games strategically to get himself going a little better. And now that you get to these must-win games, and of course the play-in, and then hopefully for the Lakers a playoff series, I think you'll see him just take what the defense gives a little more now that he feels closer to having his own rhythm.
Yeah, Brez, I think back to the must-win games that we talked about. I remember them going to Chicago and going to Minnesota, and the Lakers were behind at that point. I mean, they went 15-7 down the stretch, and even more impressive was how they finished. They won 9 of 11 and 6 out of 7.
How many times do we say this is the game of the year, and then like 2 games later, no, this is the game of the year?
About 23 times.
Yeah, it just kept re-upping itself. It was kind of comical. The chemistry on this team was not good the first part of the season. And there's definitely an air of waiting for the other shoe to drop with Russ. Will he or won't he be here after the trade deadline? The offense looks stagnant. Obviously, the injury to AD did not help. I love the new freshness around this team. I like how you have some explosive players. Like that man right there does it all on offense and defense. Love the two-way game that Vando brings. And by the way, he was kind of funny today after practice. He said, someone asked him, he played for Minnesota for a little over 2 years. He said, I've been helping. I've been helping with some game planning and some tendencies. So you have 3 former Timberwolves on this team.
I like it.
Between Vando, Beasley, and D'Lo. They're putting in their 2 cents worth.
Just thinking a name that we haven't mentioned yet, Austin Reeves. Since he's been in the starting lineup, he's taken it up another notch. I don't think you need to sell people that have watched the Lakers every day, like you two or most people watching, how good Austin is. But the fact that he can be that impactful on offense, still defend well, it's a big boost. And to have LeBron's trust, to have AD's trust, he's out there, he's great as a spacer, he's great if you need him to make a play off the dribble, he can get the ball to AD in certain circumstances. He's added so much to what this team is, and I think that always has to be said.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat right there too. 16-7 post All-Star break. That's the best record in the Western Conference. Of course, a lot of teams weren't playing some guys down the stretch, but still impressive nonetheless. All right, Lakers host the T-Wolves Tuesday night, 7 p.m. The game is on TNT, but here's what you're going to do. You're going to watch us, Access Sportsnet Lakers at 6, and then